Hello everyone and welcome to the Vortex, where lies and falsehoods are trapped and exposed. I'm Michael Voris. Hey, I just got out of religion class. You like my banner? Isn't this great? The next thing we're going to do tomorrow, we're going to learn how to sprinkle glitter all over it, make it shiny. You know, Pope Benedict has made a statement about the future that should make faithful Catholics start squirming. He said the church may have to, quote, exist in small, seemingly insignificant groups that nonetheless live an intense struggle against evil. The bottom line is the future of the church in the West looks bleak, and the picture isn't getting any brighter. In fact, it's getting darker. Every societal marker and indicator one can imagine points to this sad reality. Moreover, not only is the news negative, but there's practically speaking nothing positive. No polls, no cultural trends, nothing on the horizon, nothing. Zippo, nada. Case in point, the latest Pew Research poll of young Catholics. Young is defined as between 18 and 34 years of age. By every measure Pew could take, young adult Catholics are more liberal than older Catholics, and in some cases more liberal than their peers from other religions. Young adult Catholics are, by and large, pro-abortion. 60% favor abortion in nearly every circumstance. 3 out of every 5 young Catholics. Nearly half, 45%, favor gay marriage. In each case, majorities of young adult Catholics say neither of these issues is very important when it comes to voting. Young adult Catholics support Barack Obama at a rate greater than the rest of the entire country. 55%. 2 out of 3. 66% support expanding the reach of the federal government. In short, the Church in America has produced a generation of socialists. How did this happen, you ask? After all that tuition money spent at Catholic schools and colleges, how did such overwhelming majorities graduate with fine educations and a total lack of knowledge about the faith? The bottom line is because the people who were teaching them believed these things, and they still do. Universities like Jesuit-run Georgetown sponsor and promote homosexual clubs on campus, and they promote pro-abortion activities in the form of internships and cozy relationships with Planned Parenthood and friends. And they're not alone. So-called Catholic campuses all across America have been slowly eroding and destroying the faith for decades. This is no accident. You're reminded of the parable of the weeds among the wheat. Lots of people focus on the end of the parable where Jesus says to let the weeds grow alongside the wheat until harvest day when he'll sort it all out. But perhaps we need to not neglect the early part of the parable when Jesus says the weeds were sown by an enemy when the workers were asleep. Asleep at the switch, not paying attention. This has been the story of the church in America for the entire lifespan of this young adult generation. Instead of teaching truth, those charged with passing on the faith have taught trash and stupidity and played games. They've spent hours and years in theology and religion classes, making collages, making banners. Remember this junk? They've taught lyrics to syrupy songs that would chase even the most faithful adults screaming from the church, feeling ill and nauseous. Where do we go from here? Nowhere until 3 things happen. First, admit the reality. Business as usual is over for the church in the West. Catholic education no longer exists in any significant manner within existing structures. There are, of course, exceptions, but they are exceptions, and they are very few. Second, understand how this came to be so this time we won't be asleep and it doesn't happen again. What happened was a near total lack of leadership coupled with a subversive element sneakily undermining the truth. This was largely, but not solely, brought about by seminaries infiltrated with gay and gay-friendly clergy whose first concern was their homosexual agenda and not Jesus Christ. This clergy was instructed to preach from a more pastoral stance, which was code language for permissive, and then encourage a moral permissiveness among the laity. Oh no, that's okay, Bob. Artificial birth control is fine as long as you've prayed over it. Numbers back this up. Catholics in America and Europe abort, artificially contracept, and divorce at the same rate as the rest of the culture, and in some cases at a higher rate. The breakdown in personal morality has brought with it a breakdown in the ability to live a holy life. It's even caused a breakdown in the desire to live a holy life, which brings me to the third point. Where do we go from here? The survival plan. Well, as it's always been, the church will survive by returning to the life and teachings of its founder, our blessed Lord. No marketing scheme or Madison Avenue advertising plan will change the current course. Bold preaching and bold living in imitation of the Son of God is, as it has always been, the only remedy. This current age of Catholics has been given the cross of restoration. Nothing is ever restored that has been smashed without great love, intense love, great care to detail. We should take heart in the knowledge that when this has happened before in the history of the church, the hand of God has always restored the preeminence of His bride. It's just the price that must be paid is high in earthly terms, but the best eternal bargain one can imagine. I'm Michael Voris.